Welcome to a Love Island Games recap, season 2, episode 12. Um, Good episode today, Sunday's episode. Jumping right in, essentially, we come back from Gabby and Casey at the new bombshells in the villa. Johnny does a madness kind of and leaves Andrina, kind of in a way blindsided in a sense. He did kind of prep her, as I said yesterday or the day before. He knew he was gonna leave her, but he was trying to like say like, oh yeah, just let me do this right now. Like I don't know what's gonna happen, but that way I can get out of here and like say like, oh I told you before. He was saying to Gabby who was Love Island All Stars winner from season 2, was on Love Island season 3. Um, Years ago, when that show won Love Island All Stars, whatever. He's saying to Gabby like it wasn't there romantically, and like it also was not there with the game. So like, why stay with her? I'm trying to win, whatever. And the thing is, with the two of them, Gabby is a fitness coach, whatever. Like she's if when you see her and you're like, oh, she's fitness, and like that's her job as well. So like the two of them together, two strong individuals and like competitors, that's like a good mix up, and everyone kind of sees already like, oh shoot, this is like gonna be a good like couple here, power couple type vibe. Johnny's telling Lucinda and Garby like in the bedroom later, like there's no spark, and Garby's like could have fooled me, and whatever. Andreina is single at this point, right? Now she's vulnerable. That's the other piece about with Johnny's decision. He was safe with Andreina, and then he made her vulnerable by coupling up with Gabby, and Gabby didn't have to choose him, but she ended up picking him. And she's saying like to the girls like, I feel stupid because he's done this so many times. And my thing is, as I said before, I don't feel so bad because it's like, babe, like you knew this, Justine. You're in there with your guy's ex's best friend. So she's seen him in all the different things as well. She tried to warn you like, hey, he's like this with everyone, because Garby was saying like, or like Andrea was like, he was grabbing up on you, like he was acting like he was your man. And Justine said before when someone was mentioning that, she was like, he's like that with everyone. And Andrea didn't want to hear it. Andrea was in lovey-dovey land, which I mean, you know, listen, we've been there. We've all been there. When those things happen, when you're like you lose your head. And even I was thinking about in the lead up to today, I like went back and watched some of Love Island game season 1, because I was like, how many couples was Johnny in again? Like I remember him being in a few. He came in, he like kissed Damani, he kissed Sally, his ex, like what was that? Then he was like with Liberty. Then he left Liberty for Jess. He left Jess for Courtney. He left Courtney for the other girl. I forget her name. That he ended up going to the final from like Portugal or something like that. But like the show's only 3 weeks long, and he was in all those little mix-ups in that short period of time. Like, and then also we know what happened with Johnny and Sally on his season of Love Island USA season 2. That whole madness. Like there was a track record there, and yeah, it's one of those things. Well, he might be different with me. Let me just like see it for myself. But that's why I can't feel hella bad, because it's like Justine warned you. You know this guy. You know what he's about. You know what he's done. So it's kind of like, don't be shocked when it's your turn. Still, obviously, the girl's sad. She was trying to not tear up, whatever. Next day, she puts on like a teeny weeny revenge bikini. And fair. Johnny makes her breakfast. She doesn't want it. He pulls on Andrina for a chat, and he's like, I've been a gentleman to you. I've given you all my attention. I'm not a bad person, etc. Like, but I had to like think about myself or whatever. And she's like, I felt blindsided. Like that wasn't the time. Like you think that was the time to do that? And like you talked to me the day before, but like, you didn't even know who was in that box. Like he didn't know Gabby was in it. He knew it was a bombshell, but he didn't know who it was. So it's kind of like, it's just crazy. Again, which is what I was kind of saying. I feel like Johnny knew like, oh shoot, I don't know the game moves fast in here, and like people come in. Let me kind of tell her I'm gonna bounce, or I'm telling her I'm having doubts. That way when I bounce, it's not a complete like out of nowhere. Like this man's very calculated. I mean, and he's been telling the boys too, like he wanted to get fully out, but he was speaking to her like, maybe we could see like, just, I feel like he was just trying to broach the subject. We know his kind of playbook. So we're going to talk about them a little bit later. Lucinda and Isaiah. Lucinda's safe. Toby's safe there. Isaiah is not. Isaiah's up for the public vote, America's vote. Now, Lucinda, I already said it before, because with the whole Garby Kendall thing, she was like bothering me. Isaiah was as well, but Lucinda more so in a sense. But Lucinda, the girls are in the dressing room. Justine, we're going to talk about Justine and Ty in a minute. She's talking about, girls, we got to play the game back. The boys are the only ones doing it. They're talking about how the boys are treating them. Something like, obviously the Tyreek thing, the Johnny thing, whatever. Lucinda runs downstairs and talks to Isaiah and is telling Isaiah the girls' dressing room chat. What? And talking about, I'm really close with Toby and with Ty and with you and yeah. And she's just, Lucinda, what are you doing? She like ran downstairs. What are you? it's giving like, oh, male center type vibe. You don't take the girls' dressing room chat and go give it to your man right away. What's wrong with you? What's going on? And I want Lucinda out. Okay, I already said this before, but she needs to get out. So she was safe this round, but it's time to wrap it up. I don't like the vibe. Justine and Tyreek. Obviously, Tyreek kind of like stood up to couple up with the bombshell. Wasn't picked. Justine's upset about that. As we saw, like the rest of the evening, it looked like she was kind of just like quiet, probably processing, feeling like she got played, whatever, and whatever. She was saying to the girls like, Ty was telling me to open up and trust him more, and like he does this, like that's not gonna help. And Ty was telling the boys like, yeah, just before like we were kissing in the speakeasy, and they're like, oh gosh, yada yada. And Justine's saying to Ty, I have zero trust in you. Next day he makes her an apology breakfast, and he's like, says to her like later, like, I don't want to do the game with anyone else. I don't want to be coupled up with anyone else. And Justine's like not sure, like doesn't trust him again. And she's feeling like he's just saying what he needs to say because he knows he still needs her. And that's fair because the thing is, I don't know if Tyreek at this point, because remember, obviously he felt done because like Justine was going to try to stay with Josh, but then, Ty was trying to be with Justine, and like they ended up kind of with each other by default because there was no one left, and they still are together because Gabby didn't pick him. But he said to Toby, like, I might just like keep her sweet basically, and then like ditch her first opportunity. And yeah, he kind of did it, but it wasn't successful. So like, is he still gonna do it again? Like, I'm actually gonna try to be with someone else fully. Like, I don't know. Like, but my thing is like, don't mess with Justine. Don't mess with Justine. So I don't know what's going on because I like Tyreek. I like to a level, but I don't like him as much as I like Justine. So are you with it or are you not? Like, it's hard to gauge this man. And also I wonder too, like he was saying his like, kind of game plan. I'm like, girl, we vote, right? So like you're saying all this, and he was safe. Sydney saved him, and we can talk about that in a second. Sydney saved him, so he was safe from the vote. If he wasn't safe from the vote, I feel like a lot of people, because of how he kind of did Justine, he would have been struggling. Even though he has maybe more name recognition than some of the other boys who are vulnerable, but I don't know. I'm just pausing on them to see like what happens with the kind of thing. It'd be better if we can get someone completely fresh for Justine, but I just don't know what's going to happen. And he seems to have good alliances in there as well. So like he has friends who will keep him around, like the boys and things like that. So I just don't know. Sydney and Toby now. So like Sydney saved Ty, but Sydney's upset and she was crying, and she was like, I should have saved Marvin. America doesn't know him. Her and Marvin walked in together like as bombshells. And the thing is, I saw someone saying, this is kind of true, and I mentioned this. People know Marvin a little bit. I don't think they know him from Love Island France. They know him from Too Hot to Handle because he was with Melinda. So that's how because when he came in, I was like, oh yeah, he was on Too Hot to Handle. And that's how I knew him. And maybe he was on Love Island France after that. I don't know when he was on Love Island France. But that's how I know Marvin. And, whatever from there. Toby's telling Wash, pause. Then he talks to Marvin, is basically telling him this thing, like, I'm sorry, like, whatever. And she felt close. She felt like she had to choose Ty because Ty is Toby's best friend. So, like, fair. Toby's talking to Sydney later, and he's like, I hope you don't think like I'm upset that I chose Ty. Like, it's not that. And she was saying like, do you know Casey, whatever. He was like, yeah, I know Casey. Like, we butted heads on our season of Love Island All Stars, season 1. I'm trying to remember fully what they were all butting heads about. So there were a lot of things. Obviously, Casey's best friend is Tom, and then there was like a whole thing with like Tom and Georgia and Toby and Molly and a whole bunch of stuff. I don't fully remember what it exactly was about, but they were butting heads on Love Island All Stars season 1. So he was like, I wonder if he's going to hold that against me, or like what that's going to look like going forward in here. Speaking of Casey, Nicola and Casey are together, and cute little chats, whatever. Casey didn't know Gabby would be in the other box, so like, it's kind of surprising. Gabby's his ex. They just won Love Island All Stars together in January, February, like around then. They worked together for 3 months, and then they broke up. So interesting. Casey and Gabby like talk, like, and they're like, yeah, it's the first time we've seen each other properly, but like it's gonna be fine, whatever. And we'll just see what happens there. We're just kind of, we'll see what happens. Andre and Josh didn't get like any screen time today, which is fine, whatever. Nothing to really say on them, keep it up. Garby and Kendall make up. Obviously they were having the tiff over like that nasty challenge, and maybe Garby like putting too much in like Lucinda and Isaiah's thing, that whole kind of thing, and Kendall just rocking with Lucinda, which I didn't like. It's just weird. All those things happening. And Garby was saying, like, when they were talking about the vote coming up and like the challenge, like, what if they vote you to stay in the villa and I go home, and I'm over here like, reverse, like, we're not doing that, it's gonna be reversed. Like, I could hope. And essentially, we get the results of the last vote. So what we find out though is the two Islanders with the fewest votes will face off in a duel, girls and boys. So the girls with the fewest are Garby and Andreina, and the boys are Marvin and Kendall. Kendall, I literally wrote woo, like yay. Kendall was looking shocked as well that he was like at the bottom, like Isaiah and Josh got more votes than me, like huh? But I feel like Kendall, he it might have been tougher anyway. I don't know, but like because of the Garby situation, people like Garby a lot. And I would have voted for Garby, but as I've said before, I'm a Justine's angel. I'm original Justine's angel from 2020, Love Island USA season 2. I'm writing for Justine. And Andreina, like, before I even go on that, with the Justine's thing, I think some people were thinking maybe Justine would be like at the bottom. Like, I don't know who thought. Justine is a 2-time winner of Love Island USA for a reason. Yeah, Love Island Games didn't have a voting element, but Justine is never going to be at the bottom of a public vote as long as I'm here. It's not going to happen. Not on my watch. Come on now. Justine was going to be at the bottom of the vote. Okay, thank you. So Andreina was at the bottom as well. Johnny was saying to Andreina earlier, like, he's not worried about her with America's vote, like when they were talking. Well, she's at the bottom, and Johnny's trying to give Andreina tips, like, for how to win, and we don't know what the challenge is. And Johnny, like, saying, like, maybe you could use opportunity as, like, you could win and come back to me, and, like, come back and be in the villa with me. And like, what? And Andrea to the girls is like, what's crazy is like the last duel, which is, I like this line. She's like, the last duel, I was on the floor for a man who literally put me in this position when she was going all crazy when Johnny was dueling Chris. And now she's at risk herself. She was safe. They like were at the top of the challenge, and then he left her for Gabby, and now she's at risk. Also with the whole thing, Gabby's kind of feeling like a little bit of hostility with the girls. Her and Andreina kind of like talking. It's fine, but people are still mad at Johnny, so it's kind of like by extension, Gabby's gonna get a little bit of that heat in a way. But I'm probably sure it'll smooth out over the next few days. We'll just see. The duel comes actually, and Ariana's saying like what the duel is. And right as she's starting to say it, she's like, you take the ribbon off your opponent blindfolded. They show Justine because right away it's like, oh, this is the duel that do everyone like watch whatever when it was Mike and Jack did it, and also Liberty and Jess, where they were basically grabbing the ribbon and like blindfolded, that whole kind of thing. And there's bells on you, and they were they showed Justine as Ariana was explaining it, because I'm like the flashbacks. Remember that thing when yeah, Liberty and Jess did it too, and Liberty ended up losing, but also like the whole Mike and Jack thing was like a big thing, because it was like if Jack left, it was like, oh, he's leaving his babes, he's leaving Justine. So she's having obviously maybe PTSD because he was fighting hard, and we thought he was fighting hard, one to be in there, but also for Justine, but might have just been for the money, because obviously we know how that ended up. Jack Fowler. Tisk. It's a best of 5 competition. Garby and Andreina go first. Round 1 goes to Garby kind of easily. Gabby says like in her VT, like Garby's a competitor. Andreina looks like a deer in headlights. Garby won second round, and I'm kind of like, well, you know, Andreina, it's been fun. Like, it's not looking good because the girl she's giving Lover Girl. She's not giving Love Island Games. But she comes back and she wins round 3 and 4, and then Garby ends up winning the whole thing by like half a second. Like, you have to raise the flag in the air, and like she raised it up like half a second before Andreina did, and Andreina's going home. Johnny sat by her and like saying not much, just like, damn, and Andreina's like, it just gets worse and worse, and he's like, it was this close, and she's like, yeah, but it wasn't good enough, and I'm going home. And she obviously is feeling upset. He's trying to like console her, or kind of like be like he cares, and he probably does, but get away from me. You put me in this position. I was safe, and now I'm at risk. Now I'm gone. I'm not even at risk. I'm gone. Kendall and Marvin are next. I'm thinking Marvin, you know, he's tall and long. So I'm like, this is a good, because you got like blindfolded, you're reaching. Like, this could help you. It goes Kendall, Marvin, Kendall, Marvin, Kendall. So Kendall comes out on top. Marvin's going home. Kendall's pumped up. I've never seen Kendall like that before, like in terms of like how pumped he was. He was saying like Garby's win like pumped him up more, and like he wasn't going home because he wants to be with Garby, and that's well and good and stuff. And as I said before, like, you know, it's cute. We'll see how it goes. I want someone else for Garby though, but I also need someone else for Justine. And it's like, so I don't know like how many people are gonna come in that are they'll be able to work on, but I don't know. Marvin is feeling betrayed by some people, he says, and he's like Johnny, the bombshell that came in, Gabby, would have picked me or Ty, the only single people standing up, and you were already safe, but you like chose to couple up with her, or tried to couple up with her, and now I'm here, now I'm going home, and like he's upset, like don't trust people, whatever. And you know, he's obviously feeling hurt. Johnny pulls Andreina for a final chat, and Andreina's saying to the girls later, like, he's saying he does care about me and everything, but what he felt about me was real. And Garby's like, what happened to you don't stimulate my mind? Like, what are you talking about? And then Marvin again is excited interviews, like, I'm gone tonight. Andreina's gone because of you, Johnny. So he's kind of feeling it. And that's really where we're at. And tomorrow night there's a team challenge. It's kind of like one of those like I don't think you have to pick as couples like in a sense like where you just like pick people on your team and whatever team loses will be vulnerable. But yeah, lots going on tonight. Marvin and Andrina are both gone. Uh, we will see what happens. But we're just kind of we're getting into the thick of it. I feel like people were kind of focused more onto like the games of it all and like yeah, there's love here and there's friendships here and all that kind of thing, but it's also like you got to be cutthroat. And that's the thing too, as the weeks go on, people get more settled, or the days rather, because it's 3 weeks. But as the time goes on and people get more settled into the thing, get more competitive, you start to see like the knives coming out. People are more cutthroat. People know it's like, oh shoot, like if I don't, it's hard to be. It's at some point you got to go and get your friends, as we saw last season to some degree. So we'll just see what happens. We'll just keep watching closely, see who else comes in, and what could be shaken up in terms of some of these couples. If any other switch ups happen, any other madnesses, we'll see what happens. Like I said, with Justine and Ty, how that's gonna go. Will Johnny and Gabby just last for a little bit, and then Johnny, we know how Johnny is. Like we don't know. Gabby and Casey being able together, how's that gonna go? We don't know. All types of things. Yeah, good stuff. See you guys tomorrow.